And welcome to Road Less Traveled. We are here on Sunday night. Our intro didn't kick in tonight, so we're doing a cold start. And so here we are. Bryan, take it away, brother.
Hey, what's up?
Who
I
do we
didn't
have
grab
with
my
us
seat.
tonight?
Oh, we have Roberto Montoya from Icons of
All right.
Industry, and I think some other projects too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about those as we get going.
Excellent.
I
We're
don't
excited
have
to have you here with us. Go ahead.
I don't have my three CDs. They're out in the car,
Well,
so
I mean, I'm
I'll just
sure
tell people.
you can tell. Yeah, that'll be cool. So, what are you listening to, Bryan?
Um, the CD from Strikin', Once Lost, Now Found, and Fear Not, their self-titled album, their first one,
Excellent
and then
album.
of course We Are Resolute.
Very good. And this week I was listening to a little Witch Hazel. Don't let the
Oh.
name fool you. Strong Christian lyrics. It's a good mid to harder rock album. Great clean lyrics and nice vocals, but exceptional lyrics. A little bit more on the grungier side, which is rare for me to go. But here's Yonder Boy, and they're a little grungy, but again, excellent lyrics. And so maybe you haven't heard of these guys, but I suggest you check them out. And then here's a name I think a lot of people will recognize: David Zafiro.
Oh yeah.
He was the original guitarist for Bloodgood. He did a couple of solo efforts. A little bit lighter than what you'd be used to from him with Bloodgood. More of a technical guitar work, but really good stuff. And a buddy of mine's a pretty he's a classically trained guitarist, and he walked into my office while I was playing this at work the other day, and he was like, "Hey, who's this?" So very good stuff. So check that out as well. Roberto, great to have you with us. Before we get started and talk about you and what you got going on, do you want to share some of what you've been listening to this week?
Yeah. I got a Salt CD. This is John DeGroff Salt. I've got a signed copy here.
Nice.
This is really cool prog stuff. We also got Mahavishnu Orchestra, progressive 70s kind of jazz, progressive rock. It's mainly instrumentals, but really heavy and cool.
Oh,
And then I listened to Extol a lot. So the Blueprint Dives record,
mhm.
and their new kind of double EP, the two single one, Labyrinth 3, and the other track. They released like a couple of years ago, but that's their latest one. But that's kind of the stuff I'm into right now, and a lot of electronic music too.
All right, very cool. I like some
Yeah.
electronic. You see behind me, I got a pretty fair sized collection.
Yep.
It's pretty eclectic. It goes everywhere from classical to country, but heavy on the metal and hard rock.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I can dig the different genres and stuff. And
Cool.
so hey everybody, we got with us today Roberto Montoya of Icons of Industry. If you're like me, and shame on me for this, but if you're like me and you haven't heard these guys before, I've got a chance to listen to some of the music this week, and I feel bad that I didn't know about it. And very good stuff. We're going to be playing some clips in the show today, and so looking forward to that. But Roberto, tell us about yourself. Tell us about your background, your musical history, your testimony, if you will, whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm from a little place called Laredo, Texas. Right now I'm in Austin, Texas. So I grew up about 3 or 4 miles south in a border town called Laredo, and kind of grew up, as a Catholic in my family tradition. But it was mainly like Christmas, Easter mass or whatever. It was nothing part of our daily routine. It was just kind of something we were more of a cultural kind of Catholic.
Sure.
But then around 16 or 17, my parents were really seeking for the Lord, and they were not finding any kind of spiritual nourishment in the Catholic Church. So they just started exploring the different denominations. And I remember we had Mormon missionaries at our house for a while, and then we had some like Jehovah's Witnesses Bible studies and stuff for a while. And then they ended up at a non-denominational Christian church, and then they preached the gospel there. I remember my dad was really convicted, and he changed. He was saved that day through the
Wow.
gospel. Now, I personally wasn't affected like he was, but I did see him change, and then so I can tell because I'm at the house, right? So I knew that the change was real because when you're at home, you're living in a family, like everything's right there, so you can't really hide stuff. So I
Right.
can see that he really changed. So it got my interest, like what's going on? What
Wow.
is this? So I started looking into Christianity and everything. And at that point, I would say I would be more of an agnostic at that point, like before. Like if there was a God, like he's somewhere out there. He doesn't really have anything to do with me. I didn't really
Mm.
give it much thought, to tell you the truth, right? But after that, I started looking into it, and then we started going to church every Sunday with at that little church that we had where Dad had that encounter. And then little by little, I started reading the Bible, and then I got baptized and everything. And I would consider myself a Christian, a believer at that point.
Hmm.
Now, I didn't really have a big life change at that moment. That lasted for a while. I remember we were going to we would take mission trips, go to Mexico and take food and preach and music and everything. So I was very much part of that as a kid, right? I was like in my 17, 18 kind of, and then I had younger siblings and we would go and do these family mission trips and everything. Then after a while, I moved to Indiana with a friend of mine, Eddie. So he grew up in Laredo, but he had family in Indiana. So I moved over there about 25 or so, 24 years old or something along those lines. And then I lived there for several years. And at that point, I packed my Bible and everything. And if people would ask me, are you a Christian? I would say, yeah, I'm a Christian, but I wasn't walking with the Lord. I mean, I would barely read my Bible, if ever, not really have a prayer life, nothing. It was just I had that experience when I was a kid, 17. I went to church and all that, but then I didn't really follow through. I didn't have that life changing. I didn't repent, right?
Mm.
So fast forward years, and then I met my wife there and everything. We came to Austin from there, and then about 2003 time frame, and then we used to have a bunch of parties at our house, just kind of hanging out with our friends, doing whatever, drinking and drugs and all kinds of stuff. And then I remember one morning when I woke up after one of those parties, I had a very strong sense of conviction in my heart. I had been thinking about the Lord, and kind of he was reaching out to me. He was impressing upon my heart, and I was kind of ignoring it. I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do, have my own thing going. But then that morning when I woke up and I had these thoughts, I went into my closet and I just got on my knees and I said, Lord, I mean, I know that I haven't been living right. I don't know what to say. I didn't have any words. I mean, what could I say? Right. So I just said, I know that I'm not following you. And I just opened my heart and poured out my heart to him in that morning, man. And then he came to me and he brought all sorts of conviction to my heart. All the sin that I was living, he brought it right before my eyes. And I felt guilt and I felt shame and I felt conviction. But I just basically did a free fall into him in my heart. And I don't know how long, and I started weeping, and I hadn't wept in a long time. Even when my dad passed away, I didn't really weep. Like my heart was basically a stone.
Mm.
I began to bring that conviction, man, and it was real. And then I don't know how long I was in there, but when I came out, I told my wife, and I was like shaking and all. I was basically a mess, and she didn't know what was happening. So I was telling her about it and telling her, that I'm a sinner and that we're living, evil life and everything. And she didn't understand. She was like, "What's happening?" Right. So it was a very strange thing for her. And at that point, I got really zealous about it. I tried to, convert her by force, essentially, like, repent kind of thing. Very young and zealous, but no, the scripture says zeal without knowledge is not good. Right. So it was that kind of that raw passion, but it was in the wrong way. So the Lord began to basically rebuke me and say, you need to calm down. Like, I didn't grab you by the throat when you were out there doing that same thing. So you need to be patient with her, pray for her. So I started praying for my wife and then kind of trying to back off and not preach so much, just live a life. Right. So over the course of a year, the Lord saved her. And then
Cool.
so salvation came to my house, and ever since then, been I stopped. I was into pornography and stuff and drugs and everything. That all went away, and I kind of just walking and growing in the Lord, and it's been that way for since that time, like 2003, 2004 kind of time frame.
That's so cool, man. Not much different, little similarities to my testimony and how I came to the Lord, and me and my wife, after about a year of marriage, really dedicating our lives to serving God. So yeah, a lot of similarities there. Catholic background, the whole thing. So I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm real quick. So I did mention this iteration of Icons. So I had Icons of Ministry at the time in Austin. We had released an EP and everything. And then when that happened, I had a strong, one of the things that the Lord brought to my attention was the way I was approaching music was very self-centered. Like I was into the whole rock star thing, right? Like it's about me and I'm on stage and check me out and all this kind of stuff. So I had a very warped sense of music at that time. I didn't know it, but he began to reveal that to me. So I basically put the guitar down, man. Like the Lord said, what if you never played music again? So is music an idol or not? Right. So I actually put the guitar down for years and said, I'm not doing any music. And then a few years, 2-3 years later, I started playing at church and stuff. And then I started to kind of relearn how to approach music from a worship perspective, from a praise perspective, and how to honor the Lord with lyrics and everything else. So that's when that new iteration of Icons Downstream started. And I started focusing more on like my lyrical content. What I say back before then, it was more like kind of abstract poetry and stuff, which I still do, but that was essentially it. Now I'm more mindful about, okay, what am I going to say? What I want to make sure that it's sound theologically and everything. So I'm a theologian, so I like to really study deep in scripture and the primary sources and everything else. So I started focusing on the lyrical content more, and then so that took me in a different direction, and that opened up another way to express, which is not just the sound, but also with the lyrics. Because I grew up with a lot of kind of old school 70s rock, Zeppelin, Sabbath, that kind of stuff. Sure. A lot of intricate, time signatures and all that. So I still enjoy that, but now it's going in a different direction.
Yeah, and I hesitate to say this, but the first sample I got of your music, I kind of picked up a little bit of a Zeppelin influence there, and even in your vocals.
Yeah, it's definitely there. I mean, I cut my teeth on that stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's in there. It's in the bones right now.
Yeah, I got that song in my head right now. My head just started going like this. Do you have a clip of that one right now or not?
That one. What song was that? What was the name of that one?
You're probably talking about When the Sky Fell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a clip of that one.
Oh,
yeah, that's from that first EP that I told you about, the very early stuff. So I didn't include that because that's been out for a while. We have a music video that we did on that, which is another thing I enjoyed, the visual aspect and the performance and everything else. So we have several music videos, and that's one of them. I think what you're talking about.
Yeah. That song rocks, man. I love it.
Yeah, I saw that on YouTube, and I was like, wow, this blows me away. So I definitely want to go back to that. We'll play some music clips in a bit.
Yeah.
And I want to get back to you mentioned about being a theologian. Definitely want to delve into that a little bit.
Yeah.
But Bryan, tell us how you and Roberto got to know each other, what happened there, and all that.
I think I'm gonna have to have his help on this, because didn't we like comment on the same post or something like that?
Yeah, so it was some Facebook group, Bryan. I don't even remember which one. I think it might have been the one that has a radio station on it. What's that? Remember that? There's like a Facebook group with some kind of radio station that is. I don't really get into on the groups that much anymore, but I can probably find them. It's one of the Facebook groups, Christian rock Facebook groups. And then there was some kind of post or something, and we were commenting on it. And then I told somebody, I think somebody was trying to I don't know if they were dogpiling on you, Bryan, but they were kind of criticizing you on some stuff, and I just stepped in.
Yeah,
I felt they weren't being fair to Bryan. They weren't being fair to him, so I stepped in and kind of defended him. I didn't know him, but I just, you see truth and you're like, I want to say something. So I just kind of stepped in, and that's how the conversation started. I don't remember.
You just gave me goosebumps that went like right up my arm, because I'm remembering that now. Because I was like, wow, that's cool. This dude, whoever he is, just jumped into the arena with me and stuck up for me. That was pretty
Yeah.
cool. So then we started chatting.
Then we started chatting. Yeah.
Yep, and we noticed that we're both musicians. And the coolest thing is we have a song on our first album in 2000, which released in 2020, called Shine the Light. And there's a song that I wrote called Kingdom of Heaven. And Dale Thompson did the original version of it, which is really good. But then I'm talking to John, my drummer, and I'm like, we need to do a Spanish version of some of our music. Well, then got to talking with my Roberto, and I'm like, he's like, I'll do it for you. I'm like, sweet. Because he told me he's never been recorded in Spanish before. So it was a cool event for you. So you can comment on that.
Yeah, so I grew up speaking Spanish and English. I'm bilingual and I'm fluent, but I never really recorded music. I didn't really get into the kind of the Spanish Mexican style of music. A lot of my friends did, family, like you hear that music all the time, but it never really drew my attention. So I never thought about using it. But then I got on we were chatting and I said, hey, let's get on the Facebook call. So I just got on the phone with Bryan and we just chatting, and then he mentioned that. I said, I'll give it a shot and see what happens. So yeah, just laid the vocals down. I think it was gonna end up being on the CD, but it didn't make it on the CD or something like that.
I think we may have been pressed for time.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's how it went down.
Dude, I played that song for many Hispanic people at the factories that I worked at over the years, and just to ask them, hey, is he really saying what it's saying? And they're like, yep, because I can't tell.
Yeah. So it was interesting because the song was already written. Dale had already done. I don't know if Dale wrote the lyrics or not, Bryan. But
no, I write all of our lyrics.
Huh?
I write all of our lyrics.
Okay, so Bryan, so the lyrics were already done, and and then Dale had his melody. So I wanted to stay true to that. I mean, we're different vocalists, but I tried to kind of stay true to the main lines and phrasing. So it was a little. It's not kind of normally what I do. I normally don't do cover songs, but again, it was kind of an opportunity for me to get out of my comfort zone and do something and help a brother out.
And I got a lot of great compliments on your vocals too, so that's cool.
Thanks, man. Yep.
Yeah, I got a chance to listen to that today, and I was going to try and play a clip on the show, but I can't get YouTube on here yet, but we're working on that. But I will put a link in the comment section after we upload everything and after we finish the show and I edit our post. So there will be a link to the Spanish version of, what's the name of the song?
Kingdom of Heaven. Put the English one up there too, so that the listeners can go to both and see the
okay,
difference.
Will do.
And the similarities.
Yeah, will do for sure. So, do you want to do some music, or do you want to talk theology?
Whatever you want to do, Paul. I'm here to hang out with you guys.
I'm going to hit the comments real fast. We only got one tonight so far. Rob Lowe's with us. He said, hey, Rob, great having you with us again, brother. One of our faithful listeners and viewers.
And I know it's off topic, but my Buccaneers just won not too long ago with a game-winning field goal. They're trying to send me to the emergency room, I'm telling you.
All right. I'm going to play a clip of a song, and then I'll play a little bit of it, and then Roberto, you can jump in and talk to us. I can lower the background a little bit and let it play while you talk about it, but I'm going to have the background up at first so everybody can hear it, and then I'll lower it, and then you can jump in and tell us the title, tell us about the song.
Sounds good.
I got it turned down a little bit. Can you talk over that, or do you need a little lower?
Let's give it a shot. So that's New Wine. So that one is it's with the group that I'm with now. So I write all the lyrics and the music, and I've got some friends here in Austin that I work with, but I do a lot of work with remote people like all over the world. So on that track, my friend Johnny is on there. He's actually a Grammy-winning drummer. He has a Grammy for kind of a orchestral style of like cumbia music. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that kind of music, like Spanish with a lot of with congas and wind instruments and brass and all that. Funk, kind of orchestral funk stuff. So anyway, he does that music, but we grew up together since we were kids. So he plays drums on all my stuff. So it's really good, top notch drumming. So yeah, it's called New Wine. It's about the sacrifice of Jesus. About basically the body and the blood. What does that mean? He paid for our sins. So kind of touching on some of the blood aspect. That's what New Wine represents. It says the Lord says, if you drink my blood and eat my flesh. So it's themed around that. And on our Bandcamp page, if you go to iconsofministry.bandcamp.com, you can see all I always put my lyrics in there. So you'll see the lyrics. And we actually have a music video for that one too. We went to like an old abandoned train yard and stuff. And my friend Johnny, he's in that video. Another friend of mine is playing bass. We shot a video for that one too. So yeah, that's what that is. It's New Wine.
Excellent. So everybody, you got a chance to hear that. We're going to play a couple more clips throughout the show. And we're going to talk about where you can get the music. And as always, I'm encouraging everybody, buy the music, buy the CDs, buy the hard copies, support the bands. These guys, none of these guys are nobody is on our show is a millionaire rock star. So these are labors of love. And these are probably costing them more than they're making back from the work. I know, Bryan, that's your situation. So I'll be plugging that throughout the show as well. In the comments, we've got Sarah's with us. Hey, Sarah, welcome back.
And my brother Kurt's watching. It says, "Hey, Kurt."
Hey, Kurt. And Krista's with us, and she says she's enjoying the show. Hey, Krista, welcome to the show. Glad to have you.
So, if anybody watching has a question for anybody on the panel here, ask away because the comments help the show go.
Yeah.
And if you got a question for me, you can wait till after the show. If you got something for Roberto, we'd love for you to be able a chance to ask it.
Some quick fun facts on that track. So I use a 12-string guitar on that one, but with distortion. Normally when you hear a 12-string, it's like very jangly and clean. So I put a 12-string guitar and I put distortion on it. So that riff, it's got that. And then I also have I wanted sitar on there. So if you look at if you hear the music, especially a lot of our more recent stuff, I really like to layer instruments. So you'll hear different layers, and I like to use kind of unique instruments. Like we have music with like a dulcimer, we have music with violin, flute. Like this one has I wanted to get a sitar, but I ended up finding a guitar. It's tuned and strung like a guitar, but it has a sitar sound. And I think like the Beatles used it. I think Alice in Chains used it, but you play like a guitar. So I had that instrument on there. So it sounds, it has a very sitar style vibe on it. So I threw that on there, and it's got a really cool bass solo on there, like, and just real effects laden bass solo in the middle of that track. And then it's got a nice drum solo at the end on that track. So really, that was a really fun one to do.
Very cool. Yeah, that sitar sound. I think when we mentioned Led Zeppelin earlier, when the London Philharmonic did their Led Zeppelin album, it was without vocals, and I think they used a sitar in place of the vocals during Kashmir.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've heard that, but it was really unique.
Yeah, I love that sound. So, and I've used that sitar in a few tracks, but that's the first one where I actually put it on there. And I like to. And it's got some interesting time signatures on there and different changes. And then I like to have music where people listen to it, and then maybe if they listen to it again, they might pick up something they didn't hear the first time. So that kind of goes back to the layering aspect. So there's a lot of interesting textures. If you pay attention, you'll hear all sorts of things happening in there. And sometimes that's good, sometimes bad. But I personally love to do that. Have little hidden kind of secrets and let people dig for treasure in a way on the sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and kind of like you're making music for musicians who would hear that, and say, "Oh, wow, how cool is that?" Right there.
Yeah.
Where maybe the average listener isn't paying attention as good.
Exactly.
Like
Right.
that.
So you still have to make it. You still have to make it appealing. So that's kind of fun. Like, how do you make it sound interesting at one level, but then if somebody wants to take the time, they can find other things at a lower level, but it still has to be enjoyable on first glance, you know? So that's kind of, I like to think in that way and see if I can make music in that way.
So I'm going to say, Bryan, did you have something you wanted to say real quick?
Well, I'm just excited about when he mentioned layering, because ever since we got Dale Thompson from that first recording of Your Enemy, John's like, Bryan, come here. I'm like, what? What are we going to do with this? He gave us 8 vocal tracks. So after that, we started learning, like maybe in the end of our second album, we started learning, we double every one of our guitars. So if I do a rhythm guitar, you're going to hear it twice, one in the right ear and one in the left. And we don't do the cut and paste. I have to replay it.
Yeah.
That way there's little nuances that are different from each take. See, he knows. Roberto knows. And that makes it so cool, because I tell people, put the headphones on so you can, like what you said, you can dig deeper into the music and hear stuff on there that you wouldn't hear otherwise.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is really cool.
All right. So this is a great segue into the theology aspect. In your bio, and you mentioned it, that you're a theologian. And so do you preach? Do you write?
So I teach the Bible. We have home church. We've been having home church for like 10 or 12. I lost track. It's over a decade. So we get into the scripture. We dig out. We'll normally do a book, and we'll go through the whole book. Sometimes we'll do a topical study where we have a topic, and then we can move around the scriptures on that same topic. But normally we'll get a book, Old Testament, go through it, New Testament, go through it, and kind of go back and forth. And we've had some families here. So the size is big, and then it gets small. People move away, and they go to other places and all that. But we've been doing that for a while now. So yeah, getting into the primary sources, understanding where we got the scriptures from, what are the differences between, why are some translations different, and just talking about the background of the Old Testament, what was going on in those areas at the time, and digging out. So definitely the Bible is the primary focus, but we will bring in other texts that might shed a little more information and fill out some of the context, because it's like the scripture is like anything else. You have to read it in context and understanding the different literary genres in the scripture, that the Bible is not one book, but it's 66 books written by 40 different authors or so, and all that matters, right? So you read the Psalms in a certain way, and you read the letters of Paul in a different way. They're not the same genre. So you have to kind of unpack all that and equip God's people to be able to read the scriptures and have faith that it holds up, because it's true. So we're not afraid to ask questions or people have, why does it say that here? And what about, God told the Israelites to kill all those people. So we approach it from that perspective, and we like to just allow the scriptures to speak, so that's important for us. And I think that's where the theology comes in, having a way to tie in the Old Testament to the New Testament. I know there's some preachers out there that say, well, we don't need the Old Testament anymore because now we have Jesus, but that's not how he approached it. If you hear his words, he was doing was quoting from the Old Testament. Have you not read? Have you not heard? Right. So we bring that in. And when in the New Testament we hear about Abraham, if you haven't read the Old Testament, how do you know who Abraham is? When Jesus talks about Moses, as like in the days of Noah, how do you know who Noah was unless you have read the Old Testament? So that kind of thing. So that's what I mean by a theologian, is we get into all that, and then also the different manuscripts. We can talk about how do we have the Bible that we have, the different manuscript streams, the transmission streams, and how textual criticism and everything. We can talk about all that. So, and I bring some of those threads into the music. So my music is like, it's some is praise and some is just expression. Some of it is historical. I'll mention things about like one of the songs we have queued up, Heavy Locust. It's about the idea that the locust is an instrument of judgment in the Old Testament when Pharaoh was judged with all the swarm of locusts, but then the locust was food for John the Baptist. So it was a means of provision. So the contrast, that's why it's called heavy locust, right? So the locust is a symbol of both judgment and provision, and God, his judgment and his mercy come together. So I like to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So here's the segue part, because I said it's a segue, and everybody's thinking, how's that even a segue? Well, here's the segue, because you said you put all this stuff in the music, so you've got something for the casual listener to the diehard musician, the technical person, and it's the same thing what you're preaching. So same thing that I do. You've got to preach a message that is listenable and understandable to the newer believer, but yet has enough meat and technical background, all the stuff you just talked about, so that the seasoned believer, the hungry, digging deep believer, can also sit and listen to that same message
Exactly.
and get what they need to get from it. So
Right.
that's where I'm segueing on the way you do music into the way you do theology, which is exactly the same way I do, and I love it. So that's really cool.
That should segue right into playing that clip.
Well, I'm going to hit some comments real fast, and then we'll hit the clip.
All right.
Sarah likes the song. You're in good company on that one. Pat asked a question. I'm going to hold that question till after we play the clip and talk about it, but we'll come back to it. And he said, who would you like to tour with and why? So we'll come back to that. And our good buddy Ray Para from Is It Wrong and Sacred Warriors with us tonight. Hey, Ray, man, it's good to have you. All right, so let me bring up our music here, and I think this is the one you were talking about.
That sounds really good.
Thank you.
And I can hear what you were talking about with the different instrumentalization in there coming in. It's really cool. So
what's that one that went?
Yeah,
that's a flute. It's a flute. Yeah.
That sounded so cool.
Go ahead.
That sounded so cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and so that's all live instrumentation. That's all real musicians with real instruments. We're not using any samples or anything. So it's all live. That's an actual flute player from New York. Jermichael Frazier he's a Berklee music graduate. He's playing the flute live. I've got a violinist from the UK, a concert violinist on there, does violin solos and everything. So it's got a lot of different. And again, if you go to on the Bandcamp, not only do I have the lyrics, but I also have the credit sheet. So you'll see all the people that are involved, what they all played, what they all did, and then who mixed it, who mastered it, right, and all that stuff. So I produce it myself, but I work with top engineers on the mixing and the mastering. So this particular song was mixed and mastered by a man named Carman in London. He's done stuff for like David Bowie and Peter Gabriel and stuff like that. So I normally send him all my stems and I work with them on like production. So we co-produce it from that perspective, and then they just send me a mix and a master, and then I release it.
So are these studio guys, or these people that tour with you, or do live shows? Yeah,
so some of them they're not guys that tour with, so they're freelance musicians. So I kind of have a Rolodex of people that I like to work with, and I've got some guys that I normally like. If you notice, the bassist is normally the same guy, Mauricio. He's in South America, so he's my kind of a main bass player. I've never met him in person, but we've worked on a lot of different tracks. So I do have guys like that. That one, the drummer, his name is Manny. He's 17 years old, 17-year-old drummer from Laredo. So he came up to Austin. We went into the studio and we recorded the music and the drums for that track. And like I said, I've got a pianist from also from Latin America, and there's like backing vocals, gospel style vocals on there and everything. Yep.
All right, cool. So I'm going to jump back to the question we had earlier from Pat. Who would you like to tour with and why?
Actually, I'm not a huge fan of touring, but if I did tour, I guess I want to think about what kind of bands would be in line. I think We Are Resolute kind of ties it in the same type of genre, right?
Yep.
kind of heavy rock, hard rock stuff. Although I love Extol, we're probably not lined up with the same kind of audience or something. But so it's there's bands I like and there's bands I would like to tour with. But the ones I would like to tour with, I'd have to do a little more research in terms of like who's out there doing this progressive prog kind of Christian prog is what I would want to find out, and then go from there.
Icons of industry, We Are Resolute, and Bryan.
There you go.
So, how often do you get to play out live?
Real quick, Salt would be good. John DeGroff, man, I actually talked. We were going to work on a track together, and it didn't materialize. But now that I'm thinking, Salt, John DeGroff is he's right there in my wheelhouse.
Okay.
So whatever he's got going on, I'd be down for that.
And Ray threw out Paradox, and I have a CD of Paradox, and yeah, I would definitely throw that in there for sure. Out in Austin, I think Galactic Cowboys is out in that neck of the woods, or were at one point. Did you ever run across those guys live or do anything with them?
But I know Paul is Rohrback, right?
Yes.
So I've talked to him too. We've kind of chatted about doing a collaboration as well. So he's neat. Around here.
Okay. Yeah, we had him on. We had him on a few months ago.
Yep.
And then I got to meet him in person at Immortal Fest.
Cool.
That was really.
I still want to do something with him. I want to collaborate with him. Maybe get do a song or something, but it hasn't happened. But yeah.
Well, I know he's working with like everybody, so I know he loves collabing. So
we'll go get him for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he likes. He messaged me about one of my songs. I think Cedars of Lebanon. I didn't send that. I think I sent that one. I sent Cedars of Lebanon as a third track, but that version that I sent you is a cover version, a soul cover version of that song. But the original song, Paul liked it. He said, "Hey," he called me and said, "Hey, I really like that song, and we should work on something." So, but again, it hasn't happened yet.
All right. Well, I'm gonna play that now because I really love because everything's heavy, which I love, and then this is like kind of worshipful, soulful.
Yeah, it's
worship.
Gospel. It's gospel
and I'm listening to it. I'm going, oh, he does everything. So I'm going to play this clip now. Let me get it turned up before I hit play. And you'll see it's very, very different when we just listen to it. But man, beautiful.
But I was too loud to listen for the sound of the fire. It's turning on strong, it's time to give it up.
Man, I love that. So what's the genesis of that? And this is a different mix, different version.
Yeah, so this is it's a cover. So I didn't play that. I'm not singing on that, and I'm not playing on it. That's a cover song, but the original is on the website too, and that version is on the website too. We have a new release called Soul Box, which has 10 icons of industry songs done as covers in the soul genre. So like even that one that we played before, Heavy Locust, there's a soul version of that song with like saxophone and stuff.
Oh wow!
So it's kind of a reimagining of these tracks in kind of a gospel R&B soul type of vibe. So it's a really fun album, and it's on our that one is it's only on Bandcamp. It's not on Spotify or anywhere else. So if people want to check that out, you go to the Bandcamp page. But yeah, that's what happened. It's just kind of a cover song.
All right, very cool.
Yeah, and the original has dulcimer on it, so it's got a very different vibe. It's got more of a kind of Middle Eastern style of vibe. The original track with live drums, and that's all live instrumentation and everything. So yeah, that's what's going on. And the that one is very much a kind of a praise track. So the Cedars of Lebanon, from the Psalms, you hear about, they represent strength, right? They're strong and everything, but it says that the Lord, his voice shatters them. So the power and the majesty of the Lord and how, and even sometimes God's people are referred to as Cedars of Lebanon in terms of the grounding and everything else, but then God is sovereign over everything, and even the Cedars of Lebanon, as strong as they are, his voice just shatters them and so on. So the lyrics touch on those aspects of it.
I love it.
Yeah.
The original, does it have that piano intro like that? And
It has dulcimer. It
that's
has
the
a
Dulcimer
hammer,
intro.
a hammered dulcimer. It's a Persian instrument, so it's got a
Okay.
very different vibe. So
Very cool.
it doesn't have any piano in there.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'll put a link to. Is that on YouTube, perchance?
yeah, that's it. We have a music video for that one too, so you can check
Oh.
out. And the hammered dulcimer player, he's a Persian guy. He's in the video too. He shot his music, his images over there where he's at, and then we just superimposed them on our video, like on a projection screen. So he's kind of in the video, but he's not really. We weren't together on it, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Awesome.
we've got that going on.
Okay, I'll put a link to that in the comment section as well once
Yeah.
we edit. When we're done here.
Cool.
So, Bryan, you got any questions you want to ask?
When did you start playing guitar?
I was about 16 years old, 16, 17. So my earliest music, I was in band. So I played an instrument called the cornet. It's like a trumpet, but a little bit shorter version of it. So I was in the marching band and all that, kind of holding the instruments and marching and everything. So that was my parents just put me in band, like as an extracurricular activity in middle school. So I learned how to sight read music and everything. But I wasn't really passionate about it. I mean, it was cool because I had friends in band and everything. So it was something that I did in school that I enjoyed.
Okay.
But after that, after high school and stuff, I started getting into guitar. So one of my cousins was a guitar player, and he's my age. I think we were actually born on the same day. But then I found out he played guitar, and then he could shred, man. He was playing like Randy Rhoads solos at like 15 years old or whatever, Iron Maiden and everything. So I was like blown away. So I got into music and rock music. That's when I got into rock music, guitar, and everything. So yeah, I was in my teens. So,
I didn't learn guitar until I was 35.
Wow. Okay.
So just to be doing what I'm doing is like, thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive for sure.
Yeah.
So, it's if you're out there and you're thinking, what does the Lord have for me to do? It's never too late, man. It's never too late to shift gears. It's never too late to get on the path that he has for you that you might have missed going down the road there. So, and it's never too early. If you're young and you're watching this, I don't know how many young viewers we get on our show, but
man, if you're young and you have any inclination to play an instrument, do it. My grandpa, when I was 12, wanted to teach me, but I was too cool. I wanted to listen to Judas Priest and all that kind of stuff, and I didn't want to play Jesus Loves Me on an acoustic guitar. You know how much basic stuff I would have learned if I would have just paid attention to my grandpa? But at least I ended up doing it, so.
So yeah, so on the another side of another kind of music I do also is like world music. Paul, I don't know if people, like I said, if people go to the Bandcamp page, there's a soundtrack that we did to a movie. It's a documentary called Blood of the Ancient Vine about the history of wine in the Iberian Peninsula. So my friend, he's a filmmaker. He made a documentary, and then he asked me to write the score for it. So we ended up writing the score, and it's traditional Iberian folk music, but with like synths and cello and stuff. So we kind of a fusion again, but it's really, I wanted to honor the sound of that area, but make it modern as well. So that, and then actually that was on the film festival circuit, and it ended up winning a couple of best original score awards in Madrid and in Milan. So that's pretty cool. And that just happened in January. I got those awards. So that was awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah, those are all instrumentals, but it's kind of it's Iberian folk music is what it is.
Okay, so how different? So I've heard some like Ukrainian folk music, and I've heard some Russian folk music. Is it in the same kind of genre and vein of that, or is it quite different since it's
so? You might have heard of flamenco.
Mm-hmm, sure.
So that's from that area. That's Spain. So the Iberian Peninsula is basically Portugal and Spain.
Right.
So the cultures are kind of mixed. So you hear flamenco over there. There's another genre called fados that are coming from Portugal. Mm-hmm. There's some kind of almost polka style roots. So Germany, the polka style came from there. Then that even made its way all the way down to like south to like northern Central America, like. The Mexican music also has kind of accordion and stuff like that, polka music.
Mhm.
But on the Iberian side, they don't have accordion as much. They have different kind of instruments. They have like an oud, and they have the Portuguese guitar, which is a different kind of guitar, and then they have like what they call a hurdy-gurdy.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So hurdy-gurdy, that's a Portuguese classical Portuguese instrument. So it's that kind of stuff. So a lot of stringed instruments, like nylon stringed instruments, guitar, but other kinds of stringed instruments that are not that sound like thicker. They have like thick nylon strings and such. So it's that kind of music. Very much. There's a lot of intricacy and dynamics and everything breathes and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You know how they always say so and so is the greatest guitar player ever, but they never mention any of these Hispanic or all these other country players that play these guitars, and they could blow away like who we're thinking are the greatest guitar players ever. And these guys are just up and down all over the place. I mean,
yeah, some do like Paco de Lucha and like there's some flamenco players that are pretty known, but yeah, for the most part, they're not in the heavy metal scene.
Right.
You don't really think of like metal, metal. You think of the Shredders and everything as the best guitarists, but
yeah. Well, I'm just saying that way because a lot of people just put people in a place, and it's like, there's this guy over in Puerto Rico down in his mom's basement. Nobody knows him. So many great musicians out there that are untapped.
Somebody's saying that I need to go to get into Immortal Fest. I don't know who can make that happen.
Yeah, Pat said let's get him to Immortal Fest. So are you interested in that? Not that I have any pull, but if you were, let's get it out there.
Yeah.
Officially, would you be interested in playing Immortal?
Yeah. So the only catch would be I need a band, and I think I actually think that Paul had that same issue. I remember Paul Rohrbach was posting on Facebook, "Hey, I need a drummer." And then, I can't find a drummer. I'm like, that's your fault. You're the one who wrote those drum parts, man. Nobody can play those drum parts.
Nobody can play them.
So, that's your own fault that you can't find a drummer. You know what I mean? But yeah, I would have to find a band. I would have to find people to play with. But if I could probably make a few phone calls, but it would take some work. Yeah.
Just contact somebody like Ray Parra. He's played there with his band, so he can tell you who to contact and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't heard anything official about next year yet. I haven't heard any official announcements yet, but we're all praying and hoping that it continues. Ray, speaking of Ray, he's got a podcast called Is It Wrong? And it's a lot of fun. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. And he mentioned about your 17-year-old drummer, and he asked the question, is it wrong that you had a 17-year-old drummer playing for you guys?
No, it's pretty right, I think. It's not wrong at all.
Yeah.
There's child labor laws. I'm just kidding.
Well, actually, so his dad had to drive him up to Austin. So he came with his mom and dad. They drove him to Austin, and then they took him to the studio, and they were there in the studio with us. We took some pictures and stuff and some video clips, but that was his first time in a studio. So he was totally like jazzed about it, man. His eyes were all huge and everything.
I'm sure.
And he's a technical wizard, but once you're in the room and you're behind the glass and you've got your cans on, it's a totally different thing. So he was like nervous and like messing up and stuff at first, because it's one thing to be jamming like at your house or at your local shows, but the first time in the studio and you're right there, like, okay, ready, go, and then you have to perform and you can't make mistakes and all that. So that was a pretty intense experience for me. He liked it, but that was pretty cool. And we have another song called Eloquence. He's also on that, on the drums and on that. So we released Heavy Locust and Eloquence as a double A single. So we put those all together as kind of a A side, B side, or double A. So we consider them both A sides. So we put a double A single out there, and he's on that track as well. So people can go check that out. Really amazing drummer.
Cool.
Yeah. And that blesses my heart to see a 17-year-old kid, and I listened to it, and the technical ability of a 17-year-old kid. Like we said, you're never too young, you're never too old. Get out there and serve the Lord.
Yeah, he's a Christian. Yeah, he's a Christian too. His parents are Christians and everything. So
that is so cool.
Yeah.
So Bryan, you look like you wanted to ask something.
Nope. I'm just enjoying I'm enjoying the conversation.
I do want to touch on something about ministry. So
yes,
there's a couple of different ways that as a musician you could do ministry. So one of the ways that musicians do ministry, and I think a lot of the cases is when they make music and we make music so that people can hear the message and everything else, right?
Mhm.
Which is very important. But for me, the main thing the ministry that I'm doing is when I get together with people and actually the process of making the music, the process of writing and recording it, and the interaction, I think that is for my main ministry. Is once it's released and out there, if it blesses people, that's awesome. But that's not my main goal. My main goal is actually before that happens, is in the interaction of with people. And when I like a lot of people that I work with, they're not Christians as far as the musicians. So it's an opportunity for me to be there and witness and everything and interact with them, and they get to and hear my lyrics because I write all the lyrics. So I call the Icons of Industry a collective. I don't call it a band because musicians come and go, and I work with a lot of different people. So I consider more of a collective.
Okay.
But there's a few core members, and I give all my musicians like free reign. Like they can bring any idea to the table. I'm open to anything. The only thing that I have strict control over is lyrics. So I write all the lyrics because I want to make sure that, again, that's from the theologian side, making sure that my lyrics are sound, and that even if they're not directly about the Lord, that they're wholesome, and that they're not glorifying evil things and all that. So I have control of it, but everything else, like, it's wide open, and people like to work with me because of that. And again, it's an opportunity for me to share my testimony, my faith, and be there as a ministry opportunity at that point.
That's awesome. And I'm on board with you. That's what we do with We Are Resolute. I come up with the main idea, we record everything, and then whoever's working with us, do what you do, and then we'll hear what you do, and we'll like, yes. And we haven't had any troubles. I mean, we give the free reign to each different artist, and then they blow our brains out, and it's like, wow, that was great.
But again, I don't limit that interaction with only Christians. I will work with non-Christians on the music performing and everything else, because again, it's a ministry opportunity for me.
Yeah, and I think Michael Sweet's gotten some criticism for the same thing, because he did Lynch and Sweet and Lynch did 3 albums with George Lynch.
Yeah,
he did that album with Tracy Gunn's Sunbomb.
Exactly. Yeah,
and there was a little bit of criticism for that. And again, it's the same thing. How are these guys? I think George is agnostic, George Lynch, and
I think he's an atheist. I think he's
an atheist. Okay, yeah, he's flat out atheist.
Yeah,
and I have no idea where Tracy Guns is at. I mean, I can guess, but no clue. And yet he's working with these guys. And there was a really cool story with Tracy Guns, where that was the first album that Michael Sweet did where he didn't write the lyrics. And one of the songs he sent back, he said, "Yeah, I can't sing this, man."
Yeah.
And Tracy rewrote the lyrics and sent it back to him, and it was cool. But that's the opportunity you have when you're working with non-believers, to be the salt and the light and show them the love of Christ in the process.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so lyrics are important. Like I don't hardly ever do any covers, but if somebody wants me to do a cover, I'm very selective about the lyrics. They have to, again, they don't have to be explicitly about the Lord, but they have to be, wholesome. They have to be positive in the sense that they don't violate any of God's laws. And I mean, we have a lot of freedom in Christ. Praise the Lord, we have freedom. So we can express ourselves in different ways. But it has to be within that framework. It has to be within those bounds of God's law.
Yep.
Yeah, and I love that. So ministry-wise, when you talked about this, you talked about the construction of the songs, you talked about working with the musicians. Given your druthers, do you see yourself more as an outreach to, not like, would you rather play in a secular club, or do you see yourself as a ministry to believers building up their faith? What would you say your land in there?
Yeah, so I think that goes back to the live aspect, which we haven't been doing much. It's more of a studio kind of project, although I will do shows every now and then. And going back to, I was talking about my testimony. When the Lord brought that repentance to me at the time, like I said, I had Icons of Industry was in motion. We had shows booked. And I remember during that time, like I said, I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to stop Icons of Ministry. I need to, focus on the Lord, and I got to get my head right. I'm definitely not in the right. I'm not right now. So I wanted to shut the project, but we had a few dates already booked. So I remember in one of the clubs it was a secular club in downtown Austin, and then we're doing a set, and then I just felt, okay, I'm just gonna sing Amazing Grace a cappella, right? Like just improv, like I didn't tell my band I'm gonna do this. I just started doing it. And I remember the look on people's faces, because it's not church, right? So we're at this club downtown where it's like a regular secular club. So I just started singing Amazing Grace, and everyone, like the atmosphere changed, and like people are looking at me like, what's happening? And my band is looking at me like, what's happening? What are you doing? So it was a very, but I felt the strong urge to do it.
Yeah.
And that was one of the last shows that I did with Icons in that setting. And then I put my guitar down for a few years, and then when I picked it back up, refocused and everything. But going back to your original question, I do like to play with Christians in a ministry setting. Like I've been invited I work with some hip hop guys too. We have a song called "A Brave Heuristic." It's a collaboration I did with a Christian hip hop rapper. So it's got a rap and I sing and he raps. So I'm very much connected to the Christian hip hop scene here in Austin, and I know a lot of those brothers. I go to I visited a Bible study that they have and so on. So I'm connected with them. So they do it, and they've invited me. I think there's one in November that they've invited me to play. So I definitely enjoy those where I can it's the purpose is to preach and all that, but I'm not opposed to playing in a secular setting. But I'm going to be selective. I'm going to kind of take it as it comes and see who's going to be on there, what's it about, and all that kind of stuff. So I'll say real quick, I'm getting into like a little bit of like fashion design. I know it's not related to music, but I'm working on like making kind of custom blazers of linen. Something artistic that I'm doing. So I was invited to be to be one of the designers at one of the fashion shows, but it was a Halloween one. So I couldn't do it. So I didn't want to, that violated my conscience. I couldn't be part of like a Halloween thing. That's just my own kind of conscious thing. So those are the kind of, it has to kind of be like what's going on, what is going on. It can be secular, but it has to be something that I feel comfortable with. So I hope that answers the question.
You're just using discernment. You're doing what you're instructed to do by the Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're following your convictions, which is super important. Real quick, we got one last question, and we're going to talk about where we can find your music and check out your Bandcamp. And then we're about out of time.
Yeah.
We joke that this is the fastest hour on the internet. And
it just goes right over
for us. Pat wants to know, when has the Holy Spirit given you a change in words while putting together a song? Is any story wrapped around that?
That's an excellent question. So yeah, that I believe so. There's times when you have so I'm a very melody first kind of songwriter. So I know some songwriters they'll start with the lyrics and then they'll craft the melody around it. I'm the other way. So when I write a song, I'm very melody driven. So I'll come up with like a guitar part or keyboard or whatever kind of a bass structure, and then I'll sing based on the melody. So normally like when I'm doing the first cut, a first pass at a song, I'll sing with not actual real words, just phonetic placeholders that kind of capture the essence of how I want the song to move, right? So, but what that does though, that the flip side of that is now I need to find lyrics that fit what I'm trying with the emotion and the melody that I want to do. So that's where the challenge comes in. So sometimes I'll have a difficult time coming up with words that fit in the phrasing and the melody that I want in my mind. So the Lord definitely helps me with that. How do I come up? And that's always the most difficult part is the lyrics for me. That's always the last thing because that's where I really that's the hardest part for me. So the Lord definitely helps me to come up with the words. How do I phrase it? And then also ensuring that the theology is sound and not sacrificing theology for a good rhyme, because sometimes you can come up with an awesome rhyme, but it's not theologically sound. So you have to. I make the decision. I'm gonna have to sacrifice the rhyme and the awesome vibe, but because I want to be theology first. So sometimes it won't come out quite this way that I wanted it, but I'm happy with the message and the lyrics that I ended up at the end. So I don't know if anyone can relate to that.
All right.
Writing songs is so fun. Would you agree with that?
What was that?
Writing the lyrics and writing the music and stuff is so much fun.
It's also stressful.
I don't get stressed out at
No?
all about it. No.
Yeah, I do. It is fun. It's fun when it's done. It's fun when you finally have it and the lyrics are finished and and you can now it's about recording it, and I can perform and everything. And then but yeah.
Yeah, sometimes Roberto, when I hear a song that we just released on an album and it's been mixed and mastered and the whole process, and I sit back and actually listen to it, I'm like, how did I write this? And it's like, it's God.
Yeah.
So Roberto, how many albums are there? Where can I buy them? What formats can I get them on?
Yeah. So the main place to download and to stream is iconsofindustry.bandcamp.com.
Okay.
You can also go to iconsofindustry.org. That's our main website, and it's got from there. There's links to our YouTube. There's links to our Bandcamp. There's links to our Spotify. So we've got a lot of stuff on Spotify. Most of our stuff's on Spotify and all the other platforms, Apple Music and whatever, Amazon and all that. So it's all there. But sometimes we'll release music that's not on those platforms. So Bandcamp has everything. So if you want to kind of check out what the cutting edge stuff, like those cover albums, those are only going to be on Bandcamp. You're not going to be able to get those anywhere else. So if you want to hear like the gospel versions of rock music, of our rock songs, you can go there. We also have an electronic music version, an album that's like EDM kind of electronic style of Icons of Industry stuff. So that's those. And then of course YouTube, we got some music videos. We mentioned When the Sky Fell, Cedars of Lebanon has a music video. New Wine has a music video, and I've got a Brave Heuristic, that hip hop collaboration I did, has a music video. And I like to work with up and coming videographers, so kind of edgy and cool looking visuals and everything. Working with some young guys.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So no CD format, no vinyl, nothing like that available?
The only we have on CD right now is the soundtrack to the documentary Blood of the Ancient Vine. That we have a CD on our website for that, because that was used to promote the movie and stuff. But we haven't done anything else on CD. I want to do it maybe, but I mean, how many people actually still buy CDs? I mean, Bryan could tell us how many. You guys
I think there's an underground. I think that in my mind it's an underground group of people.
Yeah.
I don't think CDs are totally gone, but a lot of people are falling for only this digital stuff. But I'd rather hold something in my hand. And
I would love to do vinyl, but it's very pricey.
Yeah.
And to your point, like you mentioned earlier, Paul, you had never heard of us, so we don't have we have some fans, but we don't have a big fan base. So if our fan base grows and we get support, then that makes it a lot easier for us to be able to put music out, because people are going to want to. I mean, I can spend money and print 100 vinyl records of our music, but then who knows about that? I don't have the channels to kind of get that out there. So that's the challenge.
Maybe you should contact Bill Bafford from Rocks Records and get a distribution deal.
Yeah,
that's who we go through.
Yeah, so I'll be posting links in our comments and in our on our Facebook page, or on my Facebook page, and on our YouTube page. We have a dedicated YouTube channel, so
cool.
I'll get links there, and then when I upload it to my personal YouTube channel, I'll also add links to that as well. So we'll get you out there. We'll get people hearing. If you haven't heard, you're missing out. Roberto Montoya is a musician's musician. So I guarantee you'll find something you like and love if you check out his stuff.
Thank you.
We are at the end. Do you have any parting words for us before we bounce off?
I just want to thank you guys. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Bryan, for inviting me on here. It's great to be able to share a little bit about my music and testimony and everything. And just thank everyone who tuned in and everyone who asked, put comments and asked questions. Just really appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
Oh yeah, this was really fun. Plus, it's cool to talk to you after working together. The way it is. So it's really cool. I'm like, I gotta invite him.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks to everybody that participated. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the viewers. Drop us a line. Give us ideas for topics. Give us ideas of who you want to see on the show. Thank you again, Roberto. This was awesome. And we'll probably try to get you on again, because I think we do a lot of Bible study shows too, where we don't talk about music. And I
That's
think
awesome.
we'd love to have you and just do a theology show.
That'd be great.
Oh,
Love
that'd be
that.
cool. Yep.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about that, and we'll be in touch, man, for sure.
Okay. Sounds
All right.
good. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Stay
Good
on.
night.
Real
What's that?
quick. I just told Roberto to stay on. Don't go. Don't go
Oh,
away. Right
okay. Gotcha.